Here comes Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, with yours truly, Paul Allen. And it's awesome having Kevin join us each and every Tuesday from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. And once a quarterback, always a quarterback, I guess. Or a coach, once a coach, always a coach. Once a player, always a player. You see a football here.
Yeah, you grab it.
Vikings Entertainment Network, it's weird saying it this way, but is it like the security blanket? Is it just something that makes you feel comfortable?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know. It's just I saw it there. I probably just ruined the whole shot. Did I ruin the shot? No. We're good?
Well, it all depends on who's sponsoring what and when.
Yeah.
I would imagine the football with the NFL with the shield.
Yeah.
With the beloved shield, I'm sure that's okay. Do you perchance have any interest in hitting a racetrack with me in the off season? And here's why: because this time last week, you sang the praise of Jonathan Grenard, and to the casual eye, the naked eye, hey, 58, cool, got a sack, through 3, blah, blah, blah. Fits the components of a good defense. Clearly something's working well, but it's not like super splashy. And you sang his praises last week, and he just went out there and hit the trifecta. And he did so against his former team, hit the trifecta with sacks. I mean, maybe you're a prophet for profit with the way you're seeing these things in Good Morning.
Good morning. I almost answered that initial question too fast.
Was it a yes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No,
Cool.
That sounds like a blast, especially with
Kentucky Derby on head coach's dime.
With your expert knowledge, we'd be in good shape, hopefully. Although, the one time we went out last summer, I know Caden enjoyed it a little bit too much. So, got to watch the youngster there.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I just would tell you this much: I have a lot of confidence in our team, and I'm just kind of seeing certain aspects of it that maybe have not fully come to fruition.
Right. That's what we like in the horse racing business.
Exactly. I've seen some of those early morning workouts,
Yeah.
And no, I really
awesome.
I really like our team, and got a lot of confidence in our guys, and I keep on challenging everybody in that locker room to just continue to just work on. Let's just getting better, regardless of what people say about us. And I've been out in front of this a little bit. I told our team we would get off to a fast start when we reported to training camp if we did things the right way. So I think it's a matter of just continually finding a way to make it about having a great Wednesday tomorrow and kicking off a good week of prep versus a really good team.
I saw your father on the field, sideline pregame again, second consecutive
He's
week.
getting awful comfortable around the Twin Cities. So if you see him out there, watch out.
Yeah, when I saw him and he started smiling and he was chuckling, and I'm like, okay, I may have embellished a little bit, and then we started talking a little. And he's not going to Lambeau Field, so I was like, nice of you to care.
Yeah, exactly. No, He's not. He can only handle so much of probably granddad duties. Probably is the biggest thing.
Oh, that sounds neat. Help us here with this, all right? Darnold and his work and what he did on the Jalen Naylor touchdown, okay? And the way I'm going to frame it up is like Darnold on that Naylor TD. What helped with the look left and the shoulder shake, if like anything?
Yeah, I think so. We're more and more these days, a lot of people have opinions on NFL passing games, this, that, and the other, pure progression, not. You dive deep enough into the weeds, and you can find an opinion for just about everything. What I believe Sam is doing a really good job of right now is tying his feet and eyes together, reading progressions, and being very decisive of really two things. Saying no if the front side progression is not there, but he also understands through a lot of dialogue with myself and some of our other coaches, the intent of certain plays is not always the number one progression. And what I mean by that is sometimes we're trying to dictate responses from coverages, whether it be man or zone, where we have answers if the coverage doesn't do its job on the front side, but at the same time we're building in natural look-offs, moving underneath coverage, and then trying to allow guys to win leverage and run away, regardless of man or zone on the backside of things. And it's happened a few times with some success here early on. People will start having some counters to that, which my hope is the counters leave them a little vulnerable to just number one being open. And Sam can continue to just throw strikes and hit the layups like he's done. And remember, we talked about this, layups don't have to be right underneath the hoop now. For a guy as talented as Sam, a layup could be a 25-yard throw, long handoff where he's just delivering it with great rhythm, timing, and accuracy. And keeping on. The big thing is those 15, 20, 25-yard chunks. It's what Flo tries to keep off of our defense's tape every single week, and it's what we try to do well, running the football well having an adequate screen game, well getting some ball out, drop back plays, quick game kind of plays, just to keep our overall offense moving forward and on rhythm. And then, being successful in the red zone, which we were last week.
Okay, so when you get Naylor running left to right through the end zone, and he's fast, one of the fastest, maybe the fastest guy on the team, you're going to take your chances with somebody chasing him. I understand that. But like the shoulder shake.
Yeah.
So what was that? Is that a tick or like what?
It might be.
Like what's
it
that?
Might be.
Is it part of the bit?
It's a lot of times, when you see Sam do that, that's essentially him sequencing up his feet and eyes and body together. It's a natural thing that he's kind of always done throughout his career.
Really?
And I don't mind it because as long as his lower half is balanced, he speeds up that delivery and the ball comes out humming.
Yep.
So it's all about the location on those throws. It's great to win leverage that you're not supposed to win. It's great to get guys running away, but if that ball is not a foot out in front of the numbers for a contested catch for Speedy there, it's not a touchdown.
Yep.
And it comes back to Sam playing at a pretty high level right now.
How excited do you think Aaron Jones is to get to Lambeau Field?
I think he's excited. I think he is. But it's not just the old PA. It's not just that I'm excited to go, the revenge tour type thing. I think formed a lot of great relationships up there. There's a lot of great people. I always say up there. That's the San Diego in me. But formed a lot of great relationships.
It is out there.
But
it's next to Mars.
I say up. It is next to Mars. That's right.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be a nice little. I'm sure the Green Bay fans will give him a very warm welcome there. Guy played a lot of great football there. But Aaron's having a blast here. He's doing everything we hoped he would do and then some. Having a blast coaching him. He's already one of my favorite players I've been around.
One of my favorite plays from the most recent game was that 29 or the long run that he had at the end, and the work and just the collaborative effort of what happened on the line. Now, this is a blowout, okay? So, I mean, you require 10 out of 10, but, I mean, there could be some 8 out of 10 moments to try to get out of here alive and healthy, move on to the next one. C.J. Ham, the battering ram, just crushing people up the middle when you went straight eye, and the work the offensive line did. And just the vision just must be elite, right, with just what he sees when he slides.
Yeah, he's had some unbelievable cuts and runs on a little tighter tracks than just always running wide zone or always running mid zone. We've been able to tighten up some combinations and get some real removal. That's what we call it with those double teams when you see the D tackles moving 2, 3, 4 yards off the ball. That's tough on those second-level defenders, linebackers, safeties, because now they're not only having to play C.J. Ham blocking them at the second level, they're also having to play, their own defender who's getting walked back off the line of scrimmage. That falls under the play style. You can pause the clip as that ball's being handed off, and a lot of times you see a brand-new line of scrimmage with Aaron or Ty getting downhill 1,000 miles an hour. Those have been really positive plays for us. And then just like on that play, you get everybody blocked in the front. There's one corner, I think it was Stingley, left over. He's got to try to find a way to fit in there to try to make that tackle. And Aaron, he guesses wrong, and Aaron's 39 yards later down the field, inches from scoring.
Any chance, Kevin, overall, this is the best group of linebackers that you've ever been around since coaching and since coaching, whether it's head coach and or assistant coach, and the Mikes, Saravo and Pettin? I mean, they just seem to be doing really, really good work with these guys.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into it with our defensive structure and system. Blake Cashman's been phenomenal as a real hub of communication. Also just impactful with the physical play that he's given us as a blitzer, running sideline to sideline. Clearly the outside linebackers have been phenomenal, the whole group of them. Pat Jones is having his best season he's had, super impactful, really playing in a 1A, 1B, 1C type role with Grenard and Van Ginkel. And then we should get DT back this week as well, who got off to a great start against the Giants, getting his first career sack. So I love the group. I think you saw Kamu step in for IP, which was huge.
Unbelievable.
Big early turnover and really should have forced another one. Now that you're watching that back and having some dialogue with some folks about that play, could have maybe gone a different way in the moment. But I just love the way we're going at the football. We're turning it over, tackling well. People are trying to exhaust every type of ball out quick play they can to avoid the wrath of some of the looks we're sending. And then when we want to, we can keep people off balance. And like I look at Redmond's sack, Jalen Redmond up for the first time. That's a look where that we essentially end up bringing 3.5 guys on that look, but we had 7 on the line of scrimmage, and he gets a one-on-one on the center or the guard, whoever it was, and ends up winning and getting the quarterback on the ground. So just how it all works together to activate matchups, activate leverages, techniques we want to be able to attack from. Very similar to how we look at offense around here. We're really kind of just doing the same thing with a really aggressive mindset on defense. Give all the credit to those players, but I think Flo is doing an unbelievable job with his staff putting together game plans every week.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned Mike Saravo, inside linebackers coach, Mike Pettin, assistant head coach, also outside linebackers coach, because of the collaboration of it all. And yesterday with your press conference, I thought it was really cool that you mentioned the Brandon Powell play, like nearly right out of the gate, and how he handled punt coverage guys to keep them from getting the ball and downing it inside the 5. Ty Chandler also with what you mentioned, and I mean that's high end awareness born of coaching details and repetition, and which means good work by Matt Daniels, Dahlman Gibson, and the special teams group too, right?
Yeah, and Ryan Cordell too. He's our game management guy, but he's also integral in the situational masters mantra. Every Friday we have a meeting with the full team, and Ryan and I go through every situation that's come up around the league, because they're all learning ops. Just because somebody handles it the right way or they handle it the wrong way means nothing to me. It's just a teaching moment for our team. And one of the things we saw in training camp, there was a preseason clip of a guy. Don't know if he ended up making the roster or not for whatever team he was on, but he was smart enough with the ball right over there on the boundary to put his foot on the chalk and before he touched the ball, which that makes it out of bounds regardless of if it comes to rest in the field to play or not. If you're out of bounds when you touch it, that ball's going to the 40-yard line. And in that instance, when Ty did it last weekend, that's 35 yards of field position, which is as big of a flip as you can possibly have on a non-turnover play. And then BP, that you don't want to have to throw 97-yard touchdowns every week. So if you can get that ball on the 20-yard line and give yourself some breathing room to play normal football, that's a critical play that doesn't go in the stat sheet. There's no plus. That at the end of the year we'll look back and see that on in some stat book somewhere, but it's winning football when you have smart guys that know how to play the game.
Well, and you I'm glad you mentioned the name Ryan Cordell because Ryan officially is the game management coordinator. And I've kind of always wondered what goes into that, because he's upstairs next to the Vox box for the home game, so we see him up there. But so being the game management coordinator, and you mentioned the special teams bent that it'll have, and that conversation that you guys will have on Friday about everything that's going on everywhere around the league. So what goes into game management coordinator during the game?
Well, during the game, it's he's giving me down and distance. He's keeping me aware of where the clock's at all times. When we get into 2-minute situations, him and I are having real-time discussions. It helps to be the head coach and the play caller, because a lot of times I can dictate, how I want the timing of the clock to go. And what I mean by that is, if you look back to last week or even the Niners game, we're able to defer to start the game, get a stop defensively, or in last week's instance, get a turnover, turn that into 7 points. So momentum and advantage of managing the game is already on our side when those things happen. When it gets into that, middle 8 of the end of the second quarter, knowing that we're getting the ball to start the third quarter, for example, against the Niners, I know Kyle is always historically really good at trying to steal a long field goal opportunity to end the second half. So fans might be sitting there seeing us get a completion and going into a pseudo kind of muddle huddle there with however much time there was left on the clock. But I did let purposely 20, 25 seconds run off the clock to make sure that we can throw one or two more completions, and ended up getting a Sam Darnold scramble on that long third down to put us in chip shot range. But I wanted to give Will a chance to get us 3 more points going into the half, knowing that could be a 10-point swing if we do what we're supposed to do coming out of the half and go down and get a touchdown. So it's trying to manage more than just plays. It's Ryan's heavily involved in sequencing up how we want to play the game smartly and make sure we're, managing the clock, eliminating time, doing the things from a standpoint of saving time when we need to. And then he's, heavily responsible for the replay communication of what he's seeing on the TV copy versus what I'm seeing in real time and or on the big board at the score.
And you have to have a good relationship and confidence, because the last thing somebody wants to do is clomp into your headset when things are hot. Man, let me think, okay? There could be moments like that. I love you, but it's hot.
He's got great timing. He kind of understands. Yeah. There's some times where I'll be aggressively starting a call, and he knows I kind of got the lay of the land, and I kind of know exactly what I want to do. And then there's other times where I'll call a play on the previous snap and say, "Hey, Rye, talk to me," and he'll say, "Hey, any completion inbounds, we're on to the ball as fast as we can. Any chunk play, we're clocking it. Hey, you might want to use your timeout. You got 3 of them. Save as much time as you possibly can if we steal a good amount of yards." And then he knows he's an offensive coach. He's involved in the game planning. He knows the plays, knows the intent, knows what might occur when I call a play in certain moments. And so he can kind of envision what's going to happen before it happens, so we can just be one step ahead for our players. And more importantly for Sam, as he kind of manages the game right alongside with me through the headset.
That sounds like a cool job. This is Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, at Green Bay this weekend, noon for the boom, 10 for the pregame on KFAN. Vikings 3-0, Packers 2-1. Have you noticed during your career a certain play, or maybe when you played, do you think certain or maybe most players like coaches who actually played that position? All right, they just get a little more comfortable. So Josh McCown is your quarterback's coach. Yep. He obviously played. Keenan McCardell with the wide receivers. We can go on. Marcus Dixon.
Curtis Modkins played running back.
There you go.
No, it's all over the place.
Does that matter to players in the room?
I do not think that I don't have a mindset that you have to have played at a really high level, either the position you coach or football in general. But I do think that having guys on your staff that have actual experience understanding what it's like to be in the shoes of the guys that they're coaching, I think that provides a lot of depth to your coaching staff, understanding of what the current player, what the players we have, what we're asking them to do, how they're going to feel throughout the course of a 60-plus play game, how to manage the guys throughout the week and really communicate at a world-class level to make sure then when we do have that boom at noon on Sunday, these guys feel really good, and these guys feel that they are just a little bit more mentally and physically prepared than their opponent based upon those touch points that coaches like that can have. And I say all of that knowing there's also some of the best coaches in this league never played in the NFL.
Yeah.
They've been working their tail off since they were grad assistants at the college level, learning this game and the ins and outs of it at every possible level and angle, that they're also really good coaches too. So it's a combination. There's no formula. It's fitting personalities and people so that we're at our best for our players.
We have a talk back coming up for you, but first, with Green Bay on the horizon, here comes your old friend from the Cleveland days, Jeff Hafley.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that until you said it during your press conference yesterday. So a couple of potentially dumb questions, but we've had a change there defensively with a coordinator, so therefore things inherently will change. And does he run a 4-3 as a base? And are Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith, are they like hands-in-the-grass defensive ends guys now a majority of the time? It's because I saw Gary doing that against Tennessee, but then they stand him up and boom, he gets a sack.
Yeah,
right out of the gate.
They'll still stand up from time to time, especially known passing nickel. They're trying to activate some fronts to get some pressure with games and things like that up front. But no, they base out of a 4-3, and you'll see some under fronts, which just means that the defensive tackle is a little bit tighter on one side of the formation to the other based upon where they're setting the what we call the 3 technique, which is the wider of the 2 defensive tackles. But really, it's a 4-3. And Preston and Rashawn Gary and Van Ness and these guys are playing 4-3 defensive end. A lot was made in year 1 for us when we went from a 4-3 to a 3-4 base. The Green Bay Packers with Joe Barry were always a 3-4 base. And so now it's just you got guys playing similar positions, but, with some different types of blocks that they're playing based upon 4 down guys on the line of scrimmage versus historically 5 in their base defense. So the angles are different. The leverages are different. Guys are playing blocks that they haven't really historically had to play. The guys on the edge, they're such good players. Those guys are so athletic, so big, so strong. Kenny Clark is so impactful. I think Slayton's having a really monster year as a big fella inside. This front might be the best front we've played to date, and that's really saying something because I thought Houston, San Fran, and New York, I'd put them all in the top 10 fronts in the National Football League.
So this weekend, given the Packers have gone 2-0 with Malik Willis, they lost the Jordan Love game, but he didn't get hurt until the end. And we have a talk back to the free iHeartRadio app, and my man's name is Matt from White Bear, and he offers this.
Good morning, guys. My question for Kevin is, with this week Jordan Love being questionable coming back from injury, how do you prepare for both quarterbacks? And do you guys run 2 systems for each one in practice? Thanks for taking my question, and let's go get a W in Lambeau.
Let's go get a W at Lambeau. I love that.
Skull.
It's a great question, and we do have to be prepared for both players. The benefit we have is we have some things in our defensive system that regardless of who's playing quarterback, we can do things to try to talk people out of running the football. The quarterback run, sometimes is not as effective if we decide to line up certain ways that Flo has at his disposal. And then, we've got plenty of experience in film knowing exactly how explosive and lethal the pass game can be, really with both players. I thought Malik made some really nice throws against Tennessee. They're getting vertical on people with so much commitment from the defense to play the run game, so he's getting some easy throws, and Matt does a great job understanding how to attack coverage. And then Jordan Love, if he's the guy, if he's able to go, we're all going to have to see where he's at from a health standpoint, but I know he's as talented of a pocket passer, kind of what his special sauce kind of is you really saw him do it against Dallas in the playoff game, against different teams throughout the season against us. He's a big, tall guy with the ability to stretch the field, every blade of grass that's out there, and he can reset the pocket in a lot of ways backwards sometimes, where a lot of times as a quarterback coach, you're teaching guys to be firm, sit in there. Well, what they do is they do a great job up front, and they try to give him, a leeway of 7 to 12 yards behind that center, and he'll just keep getting depth and see over the coverage and lay a dagger cut or throw a deep crosser across your formation, and you're really sitting there saying, wow, what a throw, with the ability to attack it like he has. So it is different. We've got to be able to practice both, much like you would do back in the day when you were playing the New Orleans Saints, and it was Drew Brees and Taysom Hill would come in for some different things. Not necessarily the same kind of run game, but I think Stenovich does a great job with their run game. He's one of the best in the league at really understanding how to activate gun run, RPO, quarterback run. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw both players playing the football game if Jordan Love, does indeed go.
Interesting. And lastly, you were asked a question yesterday at your press conference regarding what went into signing Jonathan Grenard. What did you like about Jonathan Grenard? I'd like to extend and expound on it, and because I'd like to add Grenard, let's say Van Ginkel, Andrew Jones, Cashman, and so on. Is being really smart and able to grasp change quickly, a quick twitch, being smart, scholars of the game, maybe not the greatest athletes in the history of whatever spot, but we know we can trust you in situations like this. How important is that in the equation with everybody you draft and sign?
It's certainly part of it, because you can't do the things that we're doing defensively with guys that can't react 3 seconds on the play clock. Quarterback changes the play and gets to a 7-man protection. We've got to be able to play different defense that may be what elicited that response from the offense. That's where the check defense only works if all 11 guys can function in a check defense. And that's coverage is changing, that's pressures changing, that's front structures and movement along the front changing. There's a lot of hubs of communication in there. Harrison Phillips in the middle, Ginkle and Grenard on the edges, Cashman being the green dot, and then our safeties being so dynamic with how they can do so many different things. But that sounds great in theory until it's not. And when it's not, it's normally because of breakdown in communication. And we're never going to tell our fans at home to be quiet either.
Right.
So they've got to try to do it non-verbally in a lot of ways, or have the check system so down that all 11 guys are basically responsible for getting to the right thing together through the same lens. It's been remarkable to see what those guys have been able to do over there.
And it's been remarkable for us to watch it and talk about it. Best of luck at Lambeau Field. I appreciate the conversation.
Always appreciate it, PA.
Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, 9 to noon from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center on this TCO Tuesday.